Hello and welcome to Castanet Penticton's Mayor's Minute. I'm Colin Dacre, joined here by the Mayor, Andrew Jacobite.
Hello.
So the ITU Multisport Championships are taking place right now. Penticton is buzzing, filled with thousands of athletes. As a result, though, of the event, there's some pretty serious major road closures, particularly in the downtown, over the past couple days. Now, we've spoken to athletes that have confirmed they're spending lots of money in Penticton, but some of those, we've also spoken to some business owners that felt they were caught off guard by some of these road closures. So what role do you think the city has in making sure businesses, I guess, are properly informed of road closures like this? Because I can speak as, Castanet, we're right downtown on Main Street. Ourselves, we got a week. Somebody dropped off a pamphlet a week before. Now we're not a storefront, we're not selling anything, but if we were, you probably would appreciate a little more notice.
Yeah. Well, it's been in the media for 2 years that this is in the works, and certainly the last 6 months, and I don't think anyone sort of fathomed the size of a world championships, and I spoke earlier about how there's almost 3,600 athletes, and the Calgary Winter Olympics had 1,423, and the 2010 Vancouver Olympics had 2,566 in terms of athletes, and so a lot of athletes here, 42 different countries, so we're showcasing ourselves to the world, and the economic impact is large. It's between $8 and $10 million that's supposed to come back to the community. It's great that it's here for 10 days and really putting us back on the map as that premier destination for all things triathlon, whether coming to relax before or after, or training, or for actually competing. And certainly it is over 10 days, so there was basically a race every second day. Most of it was concentrated in the downtown core, and was done by lunchtime type of thing. So there was some inconvenience in the mornings. And the race coming up this Sunday and the kickoff race on Saturday was a bit more into some of the other parts of the community, and so there were some road closures. And I think moving forward, I think usually the city, when an event organizer asks for a road closure permit, one of the mandates or stipulations is that you notify the public, and we really haven't fine-tune on what notification means, or to what extent notification we should be requiring, and proof of that, and all those sorts of things. So I think that's one of the lessons learned that we want to improve on. So there is better communication from festival and event organizers to the general public and to businesses that are affected. Certainly when you have 3,600 athletes, and most of them are bringing 2 people with them, so almost 10,000 people here for some of them for a full 10 days, a lot of them for the full 10 days. There's significant impact, not just immediately, but a lot of them realizing, never being in Canada, never being in BC, let alone the Okanagan, wanting to come back. And I think that's where we'll see a lot of benefits. And maybe a particular morning you had a slow start because there were some road closures, but usually later that day or the following day is sort of you pick up from the people just being in town and having an off day, and they maybe train for a few hours in the morning, and then they go out and wine tour, hit the restaurants, the shops, the services, and just get a feel for the Okanagan living that we sometimes take for granted.
So yeah, like right now you say that you require organizers to notify people, so there isn't anything too specific. For instance, somewhere like Poplar Grove, they had to close. Even just beyond the lost revenue, they got to plan staffing and stuff like that, and more than a week's notice, which is what they received, would be better. So what do you think some specifics on that would look like?
Well, I think there has to be some onus on the business owners or the business communities themselves as well. I think everyone sort of knew this event was coming, and were directed to the websites, were given some information on it, but sort of, I'll deal with that later, or I'm sure it's going to be fine. And then as you get to the nitty-gritties 3 days before the event, or a week before the event, you actually look at the details or pay attention, and sometimes it's a bit harder to react. And so that's difficult, because there's scenario, you can cite a lot of individual scenarios, and there's 2 sides to every story, or 2 sides to every point. And regardless of that, we've recognized, I think we want to do a better job of ensuring more people know about what's happening and how they can get involved, or how it might affect them, and the benefits to the greater community, and I think most people get that. It's just sometimes a little bit of adjustment with only having 3 days notice or whatever, or not realizing the significance of what's happening both up front in terms of what their business is going to be impacted by, but also globally for what the community is going to benefit from.
All right, that was this week's Mayor's Minute on Castanet Penticton. If you have a question for the mayor you'd like to submit, you can send it to letters@castanet.net. Until next time.
Find your next boat, bike, RV, or snowmobile in our power sports section. You can find it in the classifieds button on the yellow masthead.